Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel for another Valheim video. In this one, I'll be taking my first look at the modding community for Valheim, which has grown exponentially since release and now has a huge presence in the game. We'll be taking a look today at mods specifically built to improve the quality of life of Valheim players. They don't hugely change or overhaul the gameplay, but they can make life easier or more enjoyable for the average player. I plan to take a look at mods that alter gameplay in a separate video because there's some pretty cool ones out there, so stay tuned for that. If you find this video helpful, consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel for more Valheim tips, info, and guides. So I'm going to go ahead and select my top 5 mods for increasing quality of life in Valheim, as I've just said, starting with number 5. All of these can be picked up on Nexus Mods, which you can find a link for in the description of this video. I want to stress that this is just my opinion on what I think is best, so some of you might disagree, and that's okay. Anyway, number 5. Farm Grid. Farm Grid's name kind of gives away the purpose of the mod, but essentially all this mod does is allows for you to snap crops automatically when planting them with a cultivator, giving them enough space to grow and also ensuring that they're placed evenly. Nothing is more frustrating than placing crops too close together and finding that you've wasted your time with a few of your plants and lowered your yield. A super simple mod, but one that can be incredibly handy for the avid farmer. Coming in at number 4, we have Auto Map Pins. This one is really nice and simple, but essentially all this mod does is puts a marker down wherever you find some ore. Copper, tin, whatever. It'll mark it for you. The only reason why I think this one is a bit lower down my list of mods for me personally is the fact that this doesn't mark everything for you. And by that I mean it doesn't mark dungeons or anything like that, which I think is something that is really a missed opportunity with this one, honestly. Nevertheless, really helpful if you're trying to farm some supplies or leaving things to be mined later on in your journeys. Next up at number 3, I've grouped a couple of mods together for this one just because they go so well together, and that's Auto Fuel and Torches Eternal. Now, one of the most annoying things you'll find yourself doing as you increase the size of your base is refilling torches. Honestly, this is something I don't think is particularly necessary in Valheim, and one of the reasons I've included this mod in my selection. Torches Eternal ensures that campfires, hearths, and torches all stay lit indefinitely without needing resupply. Personally, I'd be happy with just the torches being included and skipping out on the hearths and campfires so that these still need to be filled up, but unfortunately that's not an option with this mod. Auto Fuel essentially pulls fuel and ore for furnaces from nearby containers. This means that you can fill up a chest or two with both ore and fuel, and the furnaces will just keep on smelting until the chest is empty. Really, really handy for when you come back from those big iron farming runs in the swamps. So that's number 3. Now let's move on to our runner-up. Again, I've grouped a couple here that I think work well together, and those are the More Slots mod and Trash Items. The latter of the two does exactly what you think it does, and just allows for items to be discarded from your inventory by dragging them to a trash icon at the side of your inventory panel. More Slots allows you to add more rows to your inventory, up to a recommended maximum of 8 rows. By default, the mod allows for 2 rows, which is 16 slots in total, which I think is more than enough, honestly. The inventory always felt a little bit small and limiting to me, so this mod had to be high up on the list, right next to discarding items. And yes, I know this one is technically changing the game a little bit, but as far as quality of life goes, it just has to be right up there. Now that brings us to my top selection for quality of life mods in Valheim, and I'm sure many veteran players have probably guessed this one was coming at this point, so let's get right into it. Valheim Plus. Now, Valheim Plus actually has a lot of options when it comes to changing the game itself, such as editing stamina consumption, food buff durations, and a lot of things along that similar line. It's all interchangeable, however, and you don't need to apply any of it. However, the biggest change that I think many will appreciate is in regards to its building. Valheim Plus completely removes the error message for invalid placement and allows free rotation of objects along the X, Y, and Z axes, which isn't available as standard right now with Valheim. This alone makes it incredibly helpful when trying to build unique structures or filling gaps in your buildings that you can't otherwise fill using the structures available in the base game. You can modify the structural integrity of different building blocks, enable advanced building modes, and much, much more. There's so much in this mod, even modifying the FOV and the player HUD elements. I'm going to leave a link to Valheim Plus in the description of this video, where the official mod page goes over everything in more detail, complete with guides for certain aspects of the mod itself if you want to tweak them. Either way, my top pick thanks to all of the aspects included with this one. But be warned that this mod can make the game much easier if you start including everything that the mod has to offer, so it might require some fine-tuning on your part. It's also worth me noting that Valheim Plus actually replaces the need for auto-fuel and more slots if you choose to use it. That's it from me in this one, guys, but I hope you enjoyed the video, and remember to subscribe to the channel if you are interested in more Valheim guides, tips, and info. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.